Hi, welcome back for True Colors audiobook. This is chapter 28. In the last episode, Cassie decided, based on some rather vague evidence, that venturing to Richmond under the excuse of needing a visit to the dental surgeon, which had some truth to it, was worth the extreme risk she'd be taking and her attempt to maneuver/manipulate her way to Libby Prison and to the man that she had come to believe was the intended recipient for that infamous cipher disk and coded message. Sounds a lot like espionage, doesn't it? Join her and Justin on their excursion to the Confederate capital.
True Colors, Chapter 28. The mammoth gates of the stockade opened, and Justin's buggy carried me into a world I had not known for over 5 months. I glanced back over my shoulder, half expecting to be shot at again. I refused to spend time with Eric alone that morning, fearing he could weaken my resolve. This infuriated him, and by the time Justin came at 8:30, he could sense the tension between us. I declined to explain our disagreement to him, and he didn't pursue it. During our 7-mile ride to town, my eyes and ears took in sights and sounds like those of a newly sighted or hearing person. Occasionally, I caught sight of Justin smiling at my childlike appreciation of the magnificent Virginia vista about us. The late January air, free of repugnant odors and contagions, filled my lungs with every breath. Justin cautioned me at one point against breathing so deeply lest I hyperventilate. I had never seen Richmond by daylight. Upon entering, I was struck by its normalcy. It lacked the dark clouds and oppressive atmosphere I had imagined. The citizens wore no malevolent expressions. The dogs were not all rabid, the buildings not all haunted. It looked much like Philadelphia or even Washington or any civilized northern city. The dental surgeon was skillful, but his friendship with Justin did not spill over onto me. He was an avid Yankee hater. A complete mouth exam revealed only inflammation of my gums, which, he stated, would improve if I did not neglect to clean my teeth every day with the new sponge he would give me, and if I would use the new tooth powder he would mix and dispense to me. He explained that the horsehair toothbrushes like the one Justin had given me did indeed clean the teeth well, but if the gums were inflamed and soft, a puncture wound by horsehair bristles could lead to blood poisoning. As he pulverized a white powder in a mortar, I queried him as to what was in the mixture. He didn't bother to answer. Stepping next to the table where he worked, I picked up an opened box. Chalk was written in black letters. He grabbed the box and set it down hard, causing a puff of white powder to spew out of the top. "Do you mind?" "Not a bit, but I want to know what I'll be putting all over my teeth." "A combination of things." "Such as?" He glared at me with obvious irritation. "It's not your business to know what I choose to dispense." "Then don't bother mixing it. I won't be taking any." His stunned gaze followed me across the room to where Justin stood waiting, chuckling. "Talk some sense into her, Justin. This is an excellent formula for dentifrice." "I'm not out to steal your top-secret formula," I said, "but I require knowledge of what's going in my mouth." "I'm not in the habit of telling my patients what I've prescribed for them, and I'll certainly not start with the likes of you." Imagine a concoction of finely pulverized chalk and charcoal, Castile soap suds, and spirits of camphor to form a tooth paste. "Aren't you ashamed of yourself for the state of exasperation you left that poor man in?" "Well, maybe just a little." We eyed each other and laughed. Having decided against wasting a day in town on just a dental appointment, Justin offered to take me to dinner and show me some sights. It was exactly what I counted on him doing. We dined at a favorite restaurant of his on Franklin Street, which, unlike many others, still had food to serve. He didn't know as much about the vivid history of Richmond as I was sure Michael would by now, but we did visit major historical sites. He drove the buggy east of town to a section called Church Hill, where we walked around the church where Patrick Henry called for liberty or death. From there we drove up another hill, on top of which was an enormous complex of buildings he was anxious to show me. Chimborazo Hospital is quite a place, Cassie. It's the largest military hospital in the world. I wish I had time to show you more of the facility. It has about 80 wards in 5 separate divisions, each having its own kitchen, laundry, and even a bathhouse. There's a central bakery and dairy, a field for growing fresh vegetables, and they have their own herd of cattle. Oh, what I wouldn't have given for our hospital in Alexandria to have even a measure of those things. With such amenities and a magnificent chief surgeon, their mortality rate is only 20%, and has been much lower when supplies were more plentiful. That's incredible. Do they utilize women nurses? Yes, but like you, they were not readily accepted in a nursing capacity by everyone at first. So taken was I with this extraordinary medical facility that I briefly lost sight of my mission. Back in the town center, we drove by the Capitol. "Look familiar?" he asked. We reminisced about the first night we met there in Uncle William's office. The architecture was magnificent. A plaque stated it had been erected under the direction of Thomas Jefferson. Aaron Burr had been tried there for treason in 1807, and it was where Michael often worked, continuing in a history started long ago. I scanned the many windows, behind which one was his office, his clerk, his papers and plans, his life as a Confederate agent. I asked Justin to drive on. We window shopped along Gray Street. The amount of merchandise of all kinds was considerably diminished, the war and blockade having caused a shortfall in the amount of goods available, as well as the money to purchase them. We entered a couple of stores to browse and get warm. A pleasant woman selling ladies' notions showed me several items I could only sigh over: perfumes, facial creams, scented soaps. "And look here," the saleswoman said, "we finally got this in after months on back order. Let me have your hand." She poured a dab of silky lotion on the back of my hand, then rubbed it into the rough skin that absorbed it rapidly. "This glycerin and cucumber lotion, I have these hands feeling soft as velvet in no time." I massaged the newly softened area on the back of my hand. It was like an oasis of crystalline water surrounded by coarse desert sand. Glycerin and cucumber lotion. I thought of Michael. "We'll take a bottle." Justin's voice came from over my shoulder. "No, Justin." "Cassie, you're practically drooling. I want you to have it." "No, I can't accept it from you." His smile disappeared. Taking my arm, he walked me away from the notions counter. "Why not from me? You've accepted plenty of amenities from Byron over the months." "He feels responsible for my welfare. I see no reason not to allow him to bear that responsibility and to accept what he provides. But they are provisions, Justin, not gifts. That's the difference." Although annoyed, he didn't press the point further. Despite his telling me he knew which parts of town I'd enjoy seeing and which were mere manufacturing sections, I asked him to turn down many side streets, hoping to happen upon Libby Prison, which I doubted was in the town proper. Sometimes he complied, only to prove to me there was nothing there worth viewing. "I see a river between those buildings." "It's the James, but there's just a dumping ground there from the warehouses. I'll take you to where it's much prettier." We passed the usual storefronts, factories, and other miscellaneous scenes of a big city. My eyes were speedily reading signs on every building and lamppost, when of a sudden they came to rest on a man walking down 20th Street in the direction of the river. It was the enigmatic soldier who had befriended me at the camp, warned me about powers, and helped me with my laundry on Christmas Day. I pointed to the street where the soldier walked. "Go that way." He slowed the buggy. "I told you, that's not the section of the river that I saw someone I know." "Who could you possibly know in Richmond?" "He's from the camp. He's helped me out a couple of times." "Is he a guard?" "No, I'm not sure what he does. Something easy and clean. Maybe he's an aide to the commandant or something. See, he's right there." "I've never seen him around the camp, and certainly not in the commandant's office." The nameless man stopped mid-block. By degrees he turned half around, his eyes connecting with mine. It unnerved me. He turned again and proceeded on his way. "Go after him, Justin, please. Cassie, please, before we lose him." Reluctantly, he snapped the reins and turned the horse down 20th, but the soldier was no longer in sight. "Guess we lost him. Sorry." He slowed the horse. "Go another block." Looking into my entreating expression, he sighed and said, "Giddy up." We drove to where 20th intersected Carey Street and halted. There was no sign of my friend from the special regiment. "Shall I drive the final block and just keep going on across the river?" I threw him a glance that told him how little I appreciated his sarcasm. As the buggy swung out to make a wide turn, I took notice of a building, or rather a complex of 3 side-by-side buildings on the corner. They were 4-story edifices, the bottom half whitewashed and the top half brick. As we started to pull away, I caught sight of a sign above one of the entrances. "Justin, stop!" He pulled back hard on the reins. "What is it?" His gaze followed mine to the sign. L. Libby and Son, Ship Chandlers. What little courage I brought with me began to slip away. "That's Libby Prison now, isn't it?" "You've heard of it." "I've heard that it's sheer squalor, unfit for human habitation, yet hundreds of men inhabit it." "Over 1,000. But for this one day, Cassie, you're not in prison, so don't dwell on it, okay?" "Are those men allowed visitations?" "I have no idea." "Perhaps, if some high-up sort of personage, say a major who also happens to be the nephew of one of the general officers of the Confederacy, were to put in a word?" His face contorted in disbelief. "You can't be serious." I want to go in." "Not a chance." He lifted the reins. I laid a detaining arm across his. "Please? My patients have spoken of their commanding officers who are in there. I know some of them by name. It would encourage those officers to know their men are well, or at least still alive, and I could bring tidings from the officers back to the men." I was sure the excuse sounded as feeble to Justin as it did to me. It wasn't the imploring speech I intended to deliver. That one departed my consciousness the moment I saw the word Libby on that sign. I could read the effort it took for him to maintain patience. "Cassie, your patriotism and devotion to your men are admirable, but can be carried to extremes." "What's extreme about wanting to visit some unfortunate prisoners?" "It's extreme because you're a prisoner yourself, freed for a single day to enjoy remnants of civilization you've missed for 5 months, and now you want to spend it in another prison before I take you back to your own." I knew it would come to this point, and I hadn't yet figured out how I would get beyond it. I struggled for effective words. None surfaced. Petitioning him with my eyes, I could only ask, "Please, Justin, I've never asked for anything from you." "No, you haven't." His forbearance with me was gone. "You, who swore to somehow pay back any money I spent on a lousy toothbrush or gave to the dental surgeon on your behalf. You, who wouldn't even accept a bottle of skin lotion. Now you can presume on our friendship and my family connections to ask this of me? How could you?" Silenced and stilled by his reproachful eruption, I sank beneath his incriminating gaze. "You're right, Justin. and I'm so sorry. I have presumed on our friendship." Another moment of cool silence passed. "No, Cassie, it was me who did. I presumed that when I brought you to town today, you wouldn't prefer to spend your time in some hellhole with half-starved, disease-infested, lice-ridden men rather than with me. That wasn't presumptuous. That would have been normal. But you know by now just who it is you're dealing with." "Do I ever?" More silence followed. Then Justin said, "Go do what you have to do." I looked into his assenting eyes. "This truly means a lot to me, Justin. How can I ever thank you?" "Well, there is one way." "Name it." "Let me drive back to that shop while you're inside here and buy you that bottle of lotion." I smiled. "It's a deal." After helping me down from the buggy, he held my arm. "Cassie, I feel funny having to say this, but I'm obligated. As an officer in the Confederacy, I shouldn't be letting you do this. If you tell anyone who you are or mention anything about whatever mysterious reason it is that keeps you imprisoned, you have my word. I won't tell anyone." That was all it took to satisfy him. He trusted me that much. A pang of guilt stabbed my conscience.
Phase 1 of Cassie's amateur plan is now a mission accomplished. Phase 2 will be much heavier, and she'll be facing much more complicated challenges than she did with Justin, a friend who just couldn't say no to her. Join her next time and go alongside with her as she faces those challenges, some terrifying, and definitely with the potential for deadly consequences. Like and subscribe if you would, and I will see you next time.